Good morning, children. Today we are in our second lesson of Indian economic development, that is Indian economy from 1947 to 1990. As I have already told you that Indian economy is divided into three parts. The first was pre-independence period, that is till 1947. You know that period we are saying it as the colonialization period, and after independence from 1947 to 1990, and after that 1990 onwards. That is the third phase. So today we are going to learn about the second part, that is Indian economy from 1947 to 1990. So when I was taking the first lesson, the Indian economy in the eve of independence, I have already told you that Indian economy, the condition of Indian economy was very stagnant. Agriculture sector, in industrial sector, and the foreign sector, we were having completely collapsed on that. So there was something should be done for a kickstart for the new economic development or the growth. So let us see what all the government has done for a kickstart for the stagnant economy. At that time, Indian economy was mainly facing two problems. What are they? First one was they were facing unemployment and they were facing poverty as well. And so what has to be done in the economy? There were many discussions going on, and in the world we are having mainly three economic systems. They are capitalism, socialism, and mixed economy. So thinkers like M.N. Roy favored a socialist planning. But many of the industrialized advocated the adoption of capitalism. But after the independence, the government of India under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru opted for a mixed economy. So we were saying that India was at a stagnant position after the independence. Some sort of planning has to be done. Mainly there are three main economic systems: capitalism, socialism, and mixed economy. And India has opted for a mixed economy. Now let us see what is capitalism, socialism, and mixed economy one by one. So before that, I want to tell you about economic system. As I have told you, capitalism, socialism, and mixed economy are the three economic systems. All the three systems are depending upon the three questions. What are the three main questions which has to be answered in all the economic system? What are they? What goods and services are to be produced in the economy? How should the goods and services to be produced, and for whom these goods and services to be produced? Every economy has to answer these three questions. The first one, what to produce. You have already learned in the microeconomics 11th standard what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce, isn't it? So what to produce is depending upon the resources what we are having in the economy. And the second one, how to produce. How to produce is depending upon the technology. There are mainly two techniques of production: labor intensive and capital intensive. If we are using more labors than the capital, it is called as labor intensive, and vice versa. If we are using more capital than the labor, it is called as the capital intensive. And the third one, for whom these goods and services are to be produced. So economic system, three questions has to be solved: what, how, and for whom to produce in all the three economic systems. So now let us see what is capitalism. Capitalism is a system marked by private ownership of means of production. In capitalism, the means of production are completely under the control of private agencies. So what is capitalism? It is a system which is marked by the private ownership of means of production. And the main characteristic feature of capitalism is price mechanism. What is price mechanism? In price mechanism means there is an invisible hand of demand and supply. When the demand for a commodity increases, automatically what is also happening? The price of the commodity is also increasing. That is called as price mechanism. So the price of a commodity is determined by the demand for that particular commodity. So in a capitalist economy, who is playing an important role? The demand and supply is playing an important role for the price mechanism. There is no intervention of the government. The government is not having any role in the capitalist economy. And now again, the three three questions has to be solved over there: what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. In a capitalist economy, what to produce is answering for the question is what the goods which are demanded by the consumers. They will produce only those goods which are demanded by the consumers. And how to produce, as I have already told you, techniques of production. If they are finding that the labors are cheaper than the capital, they will go for a labor intensive method. And if they are finding that the capital are cheaper, they will go for a capital intensive method. And for whom to produce? For whom to produce, they will be producing only for those people, those who are having money to buy the commodity. For example, I can say that if a poor man and he needs some life-saving medicines or drugs, but he's not having any money with him. So in a capitalist economy, no one is going to provide that drug for him so that his life should be saved. That is what we are saying in the present condition because of COVID-19. Also in Kerala, you know what is the situation happening, isn't it? So here we are taking for the welfare of the people. But in a capitalist economy, the person who is having money can purchase the goods. Okay, so what is capitalism? It is a system of the private ownership of means of production. What is playing an important role over there? Price mechanism is playing an important role, and the driving force is profit motive. The people are making and selling the goods only for making the profit, and what they will be producing, how they will be producing, and for whom they will be producing also, you know. Now let us come to the second system. What is the second system? That is socialism. Here in socialism, all the decisions related to production and distribution are taken by the government. Here the decision about the production and distribution are taken by the government. And here the economic planning is playing the same role as it was played in the capitalism by the price mechanism. Okay, then the guiding principle is social welfare. Here it is not having any role of profit motive. Here the social welfare is given rather importance. And planning commission, which is appointed by the government, will be solving the three questions: what, how, and for whom to produce, will be answered by the planning commission, which is always appointed by the government. And when we are thinking that this is a good system, but what happened in many of the countries, it has failed only because it is not at all giving any freedom for the citizen. And there is no freedom for the small industrialist also. All these reasons have made a complete failure of the socialism in those countries which have adopted this. An example for that is USSR. After 90s, there is no state named as USSR. Okay, so we have learned about capitalism, socialism, and next we are going to say about the mixed economy. Mixed economy was adopted by India after the independence. So what is mixed economy? From the name itself, you can understand what is mixed economy. What is mixed economy? It is an economy which blends the features of both capitalism and socialism. A economy which is blending together the capitalism and socialism is called as what? Mixed economy. It is an ideal, if it is an ideal mixed economy, they will be blending the good characteristic features of the capitalism and socialism, and they will make a new economy, and that is called as what? Mixed economy. And there are some features of the mixed economy. It is very important. The first feature of mixed economy is private ownership of means of production. As I have already told you, the private ownership, the same as in the capitalism. Here there is the private ownership of the means of production, and at the same time, there is also the coexistence of private and public sectors. There will be some sectors which are both controlled and operated by the private sectors and the public sectors. That means by the government. And the third one is predominance of the market, but intervention of the government. If the market is adopted or completely controlled by the private agencies, then also there will be a control done by the government. That is the third characteristic feature of a mixed economy. And the fourth and the most important feature of the mixed economy is economic planning. So what are the features of mixed economy? Private ownership of production, coexistence of private and public sector, predominance of market but intervention of the government, and the fourth one is economic planning. So as I have already told you that Indian economy is a mixed economy and economic planning is having a great role over there. Let us see about the history of planning in India. The Planning Commission was set up in March 1950 by Government of India. So the first Planning Commission after the independence, after 1947, in 1950, the Government of India has set up a Planning Commission. And the chairman of the Planning Commission is Prime Minister. A question can be asked from this part, from the history of planning. One word questions can be asked. Who is the chairman of Planning Commission? Who is the chairman of Planning Commission? The Prime Minister used to be the chairman of the Planning Commission. And the first planning, as I have already told you, it has started in the year 1951. And the last planning was from 2016 to 17. And overall, we were having 12 five-year plans in India. And the last plan was 2016 to 17. And after that, after 2017, what happened? The planning has been abandoned and a new system has come, that is NITI, that is National Institution for Transforming India. National Institution for Transforming India, AYOG, has replaced what? Planning. So I think it is clear for you about the history of planning. It started 1950. It has set up in 1950, started in 1951. 12 plans we were having overall. And the chairman of the Planning Commission is the Prime Minister. And the last planning was in the year 2016-17. And it was replaced by NITI Aayog. Is it clear? Now let us see the plans one by one. The periods of the first, as I have told you, in this lesson, we will be learning only the plans up to 1990. As I have told you that after 1990, we are learning it as a separate section. So we will be giving importance only up to 1990. So the first planning has started in the year 51 and it has continued for the 3 plans have been continuously working out. And after the third plan, there was a plan holiday. That means after that, there was not a plan after 1965-66. There was a plan holiday. It was mainly because of partition of India. There was a war between India and China, India and Pakistan. All these things have put a stop for the planning. But at that time, there were annual plans were commenced during that period. And the fourth plan started from 1969 to 70, and it continued till the fifth plan. Again, there was a plan holiday. Like that, we were having 12 plans. I want you to learn this part and hear very carefully so that you can answer the one-word questions. So periods of 5-year plans, you have to go through correctly. Next, we are going to say about the main features of plan. The first plan, which was implemented in the year 1951, it have given more importance for the development of infrastructure and self-sufficiency in the food. We do not want to import any things from outside. So we have given importance for self-sufficiency. That means agriculture was given importance. At the same time, they also gave importance for the infrastructure. So the first plan has given importance for what all things? They have given importance for infrastructure and self-sufficiency in food. And the second plan, it was from 1956 to 61. Actually, the real plan is starting in India from the second plan. This plan was based on a model prepared by P.C. Mahabonis, and who is rightly regarded as the architect of Indian planning. And the main characteristic of strategy of that second plan was that it is also called as what? It is sorry. So it was the third main aspect of the Mahabonis strategy are developing a sound base for a long-term growth. And here the second one, the high priority was given to industrialization And the third feature of that was emphasis on the development of capital goods industries. So the second plan was also called as what? It was also called as import substitution strategy. The third, as I have told you, the second plan is known as in India, the planning came in a serious sense from the second planning, and it is also known as what? It is also known as import substitution strategy. And the third 5-year plan. So we have seen the first 5-year plan. It was from 1951 to one second. It was from 1951 to 56. It gave importance for the infrastructure and self-sufficiency in the food. And the second plan was 1956 to 61, and it was giving importance for the industrialization and the capital goods industry. So it is also called as what? Import substitution strategy. So now let us see about the third 5-year plan. It was from 1961 to 66. And it gave importance for the industrial strategy laid down by the second plan. Whatever importance was given for the industrialization in the second plan, it continued in the third plan also like that. The plan, after that, what happened, as I have already told you, that the plan was suspended for 3 years, and then starting the fourth 5-year plan from 1967 to 74, and it was giving a basic framework for all those emphasis which was given in the third plan, and the main intention was the rapid economic growth. In the fourth 5-year plan, they gave importance for the rapid economic growth. And the fifth 5-year plan, it was proving that according to the World Bank economy, whatever strategy we were following is wrong, and they need a complete change from that. At the same time, they were saying that they argued for giving importance for the minimum need program over the economic growth. They were arguing, the World Economic Bank was arguing to give a minimum need program for the economic growth. And like that, we have come to all the features of the 5-year plans. In the next lesson, we will be learning about the features we have learned in the goals of the 5-year plans. We will be learning in the next class. I want you to read all the slides very carefully, and the notes will be provided for you now, and you have to copy down the notes also. Okay, thank you.